For those of you who don't know the story, and I know you've probably told it many, many, many times, but it's an amazing story. How long had you been there before this happened, and what happened?
Well, I joined the United States Army right after high school. I was 19 years old, and there were several reasons for me joining. It would be an opportunity for me kind of to be on my own, to be independent, to travel the world. 9/11 happened the year before. It'd be a way for me to contribute and give back to the United States. And I joined in September 2002. January, I was assigned to my unit. March, I deployed. I was 19 years old. And everything happened so fast, you know, and really mentally, there's no way to really process the fact that you're going to war. And then on April 5th of 2003, I was driving a Humvee through a city called Karbala when my front left tire went over a landmine.
Yeah, let me just move this. This is on the
And, oh, look at this. you know, I've made it now. But on April 5th of 2003, I was driving a Humvee through a city called Karbala when my front left tire went over a landmine. And the other three guys were thrown out of the vehicle, walked away with different injuries, but I was actually trapped inside the truck. And from the actual explosion, it detonated everything we had inside the vehicle, which we pretty much had everything, our ammo, fuel, personal gear.
And you were trapped inside?
I was pinned inside the vehicle, and I was completely conscious throughout the whole time. And I can see my hands, you know, and I can see my hands changing in a way that you've only seen in Hollywood.
Now, are you in so much pain that the adrenaline what happens at a moment like that? Is it slow motion? What's happening
to you?
You
You hear a lot of different types of stories from a lot of people that go through things like this. And for me, it was like two things. It was one, it slowed down. The time just slowed down, and it felt like I was in that vehicle for hours and hours and hours. But at the same time, like, because I had third-degree burns, my tendons and a lot of my nerves kind of just were shot. So the majority of the pain that I was feeling at that moment was coming from my face. Then I was pulled out of the vehicle, was evacuated, was put into a medical-induced coma, and was brought to San Antonio, Texas.
How long were you in a coma?
I was in a coma for almost 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
3 weeks. And the last words that I said to my mother before I went to Iraq, of course, I was 19, I said, "Don't worry, they can't stop me. One way or another, I'm going to come back home." And so when I came out of my coma, the first words to my mother, I said, "See, I told you they couldn't stop me," and I told her I loved her. And she turned around and looked at my doctor and said, "He's going to be fine. JR's going to be fine." But it was tough. I mean, I was 19 years old, and I woke up from this coma, and I'm thinking to myself, after looking at my body and seeing that I couldn't walk, I couldn't go to the bathroom by myself, I couldn't feed myself. It would have been better if I would have had a female nurse feeding me, but I had a male nurse feeding me, so that didn't make it any better. But, you know, it was tough. It was like, what am I going to do with this? And finally, one day, you know, my mother kind of had a nice kind of sit down talk to me, as a good mother does, and I just made a choice. I made a choice in that moment. I said, you know what? Life goes on, and I don't know what the purpose of this is, but if I have a good attitude, if I stay positive, if I continue to smile every single day, something good will happen to me, and all this would make sense.
How many... I mean, a burn victim, I mean, the kind of things that you must, you know, endure just to heal, the scraping of the skin and all this stuff.
Right.
How many operations have you had?
I've had 33. So when people ask me all the time, did you ever think that, you know, you would go from the hospital bed to being in Hollywood? And I say, absolutely, because I've met the criteria of plastic surgery. So I should be entitled to a shot. I'm not saying I should get a job, but give me an audition at least. And that's the biggest thing, is that, you know, not everyone knew how to accept me, and I didn't know necessarily how to communicate with a lot of people. So what I learned was humor, and I learned as long as you can kind of, you know, humor was kind of like that chipper, you know, and just kind of chips away at things and makes everyone just kind of be, that's JR.
Because people would be uncomfortable going, oh, I have to tiptoe around this guy because of, but you make it very comfortable.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, I had a kid one time coming up to me, and he's like, "You don't look normal." And I said to him, it's funny, because I was actually looking at you thinking the same thing. And it confused him, and he walked away, and he came back 15 minutes later, literally, and said, "I just want to apologize." He said, "That was so rude of me." And he was just like, you know, it was so cool that you're able to kind of have humor and you're on your toes. And I was like, well, you know, the good thing that I look at it as is the opportunity that I have is to be able to raise awareness about service members who serve in our military and their families. But at the same time, it gives an opportunity for me to kind of show the world that you can see scars, you know, but it's really what's beneath that makes a big difference and makes a person who they are.
Absolutely. And what a person you are.